Hello and welcome to It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Joining me today is a very special guest, my good friend Gary Martin, who is a local musician who plays in the band Gary Martin, the Heavenly Blues Band. Thanks for joining us tonight, Gary.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Hey, let me ask you just first of all the impact that COVID has had on the music scene here in Calgary in the last 6 months.
Crippling. That's all I can say. It's been crippling. Uh, I went to work on a Sunday, and the next week it was all over. And it's really a huge struggle because most of us had concerts and stuff lined up, and all the work just went away. And now they're trying to start back, but with 50% capacity and still no dancing, it's very difficult.
Yeah. So how long were you technically out of action before your first gig?
I was technically out of action till when the Blues Can gave me a call. It was probably a couple months after that I did a couple of Sundays, but it just couldn't continue at the rate and at the situation we were doing. And that was just a couple of Sundays because there was nothing else going. Now they're trying to open more.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit, first of all, we'll talk about the impacts that this has had. First of all, on yourself, obviously this is how you make a living, right? And many of your friends, how hard has it been for you?
It has been incredibly hard because most of us have been working, every week. And then to cut the room down and no dancing has made it very, very hard even for people coming out. There's only a few number of people come out, and a lot of people are just afraid to be sitting in crowds. As far as with the musicians, half of us are going nuts and the other ones are ready to go to the moon because there's we're caught between a rock and a hard place. If you go in, only up until the last month have they allowed the plexiglass to come in. So some bands are going, but with the 50%, the capacity and everything, it's just been devastating to us.
What do you think about the bars and the venues that host live music? Like how in danger are they of not surviving this?
Real close. If the second wave gets hard, I don't see many bars really left in business because depending on how long it goes and how bad the disease kicks in, it'll just wipe most of us out.
Yeah, you think a lot of the musicians will have to I don't know, do something else, I guess, with their lives and their careers, and something that they've always wanted to do, right, is play music.
Well, a lot of musicians are going to the mass media, the computer, and doing their things. But that just doesn't make the economy right for us. With myself, I was very fortunate. I have another career in human rights and police and community, development. So I'm able to switch, and I basically put the music on the side, and I was able to switch up and go to my career. But a lot of the other guys, unless they're on pensions, they're in trouble.
Yeah. So, Gary, this is obviously very difficult times for everybody out there, musician and otherwise. What role does music play in times like these?
Well, man, from the beginning of time, when people get depressed, they seek their ways of, of elevating their minds, and music is a huge part. And right now, with music being cornered in such a way live, it's almost like we've been put into a trap. People are trying to adjust their personal lives and still use the music to try to uplift people, but it's very, very difficult. When it hits the economy, it just makes it a very hard state. But for myself, I have a small bubble. I stay in contact with my family and friends on both sides of the border. And I'm, been writing songs and just keeping myself occupied and switching my career. But otherwise, a lot of the musicians are retiring because they
Yeah.
don't see it coming back.
And what about music being, healing for the soul, especially at these times?
Right now, music needs a big healing itself because we're struggling. You know, I played at the Drumheller Blues Festival,
Right.
and you know, outdoors, and had a great time. But other than that, it's really a struggle because once your economy goes bad as a musician, your whole life kind of stops.
Yeah. When you look at, you know, and maybe the gigs you've had in under the current environment, you know, you talk about the Shield, you talk about the no dancing and half the people there. Is it tough for you to perform in those kinds of circumstances?
Well, as a musician, I feel their pain. So when I'm sitting and performing for them, I can feel the uncertainty. I can feel people feeling. What I find in when I'm playing publicly is people feel like they're losing control of their lives, like their life has no control. And so I try to make them be comforted by letting them know we're all in this together, and the control we have is how we work with each other. And that's how my music has been making a difference when I do get to play.
So here's a weird question for you. In times like these, is there a song that you like to turn to?
One of my favorite songs by the Funk Brothers, Reach Out by the Four Tops. That and Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson. Those are two songs that I put on to lift me up.
Okay, why do they lift you up?
Because they have a story about adversity and how a person can see through that and finding their way to, you know, go on the other side. Is like what I find interesting. A lot of people want to return to normal. The day that everything closed in March, normal was over. We have to move forward now. There's no looking back and driving forward. And so in music, it's basically the same thing. What it's done is put music on a pause to catch your breath and look at the reality.
Yeah. Okay, great then. Thanks a lot for joining us today, Gary.
Thank you, Mario.
All right, that was Gary Martin, who is a local musician with the Gary Martin and the Heavenly Blues Band. This has been It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi. Thanks for joining us today.